Hey Wiseman, Karen Weir here, and we are focusing our mindset this fine Friday. Hope you're having a fantastic week. You know, when I've been thinking about wise women asking wise questions, I started to think about some of the things that I learned from my time of being on the Wise Women radio show all last year. And, you know, co-hosting that show with Judy, we had a couple mentors who kind of shared some things with us during that process. And I think some of the tips that I learned there, some behind the scenes advice that we were given, could really help you when you're thinking about asking your clients questions and having your clients ask you questions. So I'd love to share that in this video here. I do want to take you real quick back to our mastermind session first. We talked about during our mastermind session about frequently asked questions that we're already getting asked in business. The reason I had you think about this, and the reason that I had to sit down and think about this, was because when I start to think about what I'm currently being asked, I'm able to very quickly come up with the answers, to know and have the confidence to know that I know the answers to those questions. It's not something I have to think about. It rolls off my tongue real quickly. They ask and I know how to answer it, and the confidence level just continues to go up from there. So it takes away just that being nervous in that situation. The other thing that we talked about was what are questions that you want your clients to ask. And the neat thing about this, again, is that you can start planting seeds. Sheila Baker, one of our awesome wise women, she gave such a great example, so I want to share this with you. One of the questions she'd like her clients to ask is, can I bring a friend to one of the sessions? And here's the neat thing. Sheila does some really unique work, some very specialized work with her clients. And she knows the benefits that having a friend there to go through the process with them can have for their clients. So she wants to start planting those seeds so they know to ask. And that was such a great example, Sheila. Thank you so much for asking that. You know, I suggested having 3 questions that you are currently being asked and 2 that you'd like to be asked, because that is actually how I started to put together the Wise Frequently Asked Questions section on our Wise website. And I shared that with you on our Wise member only page on Facebook this week, because I wanted you to not only see that, but start thinking about where and how you can start putting your frequently asked questions. I love the second I posted that Wise Woman member Chelsea Gonzalez got on and said, Karen, what do we do if our company provides the website for us and we don't have control of the content that's on there? Chelsea, that was such a great question, and I'm going to tell you what that did for me also. But first, the thing that I first thought about is, okay, what are some different avenues? And the tip that I shared with you is actually going on and looking at your Facebook business page. There is a section on there. If you go under hit more, you can see a notes section, and you can add a note. A note is, you know, maybe kind of like a blog post or something that you can post there. Well, I just did a simple frequently asked question. I literally copied and pasted my questions, put it on there. And so with that now, I can use that. I can go out and share it on my different social media. I can go on Twitter and say, you know, here are some frequently asked questions, and give them the link right back to the Facebook page. Kind of a helpful idea. There's also some other things you can do to serve your clients that, you know, if they're starting to ask a lot of questions, you can say, you know, answer their questions and say, you know what, I've got a great frequently asked questions section. Can I share this with you? And then you're able to give that to them. Maybe that helps answer some of their questions, and it just shows that you cared enough to share more with them. So there's some ideas for you right there. And Chelsea, here's what I love, the fact that you asked that question. And what it did for me was it inspired me to go seek out, what could I do? I didn't have that frequently asked questions section on my business page until you asked me the question. So wise women, again, another great example of why it's so important for wise women to ask wise questions. because we inspire each other when we do. So Chelsea, thank you for asking that question, and thank you for inspiring me to add a new benefit, a new way to serve my community, our community and my clients. So here's another way, and I love, this is Monica. She shared with us how she handles frequently asked questions. And what she does is she has a video that she shares out of frequently asked questions. I know that a lot of the questions are ones that she gets asked on a regular basis, but if there's a week that she really wants to share something and she doesn't have the question, it's okay for her to use one of her I wish my clients would ask me this questions and share that out. That is called priming the pump. And this is something, again, that I learned. This is one of my tips that I learned from the radio, is being able to prime the pump. Go ahead and pose a question as if it was already asked to you. And this not only, it's helping your clients, it's helping them to start thinking about what would be their questions. Because as we talked about at WISE also, sometimes you ask, do you have any questions? Well, no, they can't think of them yet. But if you say, hey, you know what? Normally at this point, my clients, they're sometimes asking me this. Does this relate to you? At this point, they're asking, how do we move forward? Some of my clients will ask, how will this work for me? May I share that with you right now? This is some of the ideas that you can start doing on your own and do right here and now. It's called priming the pump. So back to the radio days. Here is 2 things from behind the scenes. This is really behind the scenes. This is behind the scenes of Karen at the radio show. The idea of having live call-in sessions scared the crud out of me. It really did. It was definitely a hurdle that I had to overcome, and we didn't do them quite very often because it did make me very nervous. I was so nervous that I wouldn't know how to answer the questions and that I would pause, and that's a big deal when you're on the radio. You don't want dead air. Well, here's what I did. I had frequently asked questions in my mind already. I knew questions that I normally get asked, and so I felt confident. I knew those answers, and then I realized the resources that were around me. Luckily, I was a co-host of the radio show, so I had my co-host Judy. We were able to answer the questions together. We also had our amazing producer Benny, who, if it got really bad and we went, oh, don't know what to do here, he could say, hey, we're going to commercial and we'll be right back. And then we'd have a second to think about it, and we could get back to the caller when we came back on the air. So those are, that was kind of my own mental block that I had to get through. It was a mindset thing for me to realize, okay, my confidence level, because I know that these are some of the questions, I know how to answer these, and I have resources. Okay, so there's a behind the scenes tip for you. The other one was, what if you pose a question and nobody answers? Well, that doesn't feel great. Crickets, that's not fun. It's not fun on the radio, and it is not fun even, as you're on social media, if you're sending out surveys, if you're sending out emails. And so here is the great thing. Again, it's called priming the pump. We actually learned to have, and I don't know if people in the radio industry want me sharing this with you, but we would actually have plants. We would actually have callers that were planted ahead of time. They knew the questions, and they would call in so we could start the conversations going. That helped us know, to be able to get the ball rolling and start answering questions. And it would help our callers to feel confident to be able to call in and go, oh, well, that was a great question. I like how they answered that. I want to ask this now. And so it really did start to prime the pump and get the ball rolling. We can do this in real life as well. And that's why you share questions that you're already asked, questions that you'd like to be asked, and you're priming the pump and you're getting this out for your clients. So I hope that's helpful, Wiseman. If you have any more questions about how to prime the pump, feel free to reach out to me, on our Facebook page and or email me as well. So Wiseman, I hope you have a fantastic week. Keep asking wise questions. You know, it only helps to inspire us all. So wise women, until we talk again, stay inspired and be wise. Take care. Bye.